Good afternoon. And now call to order the Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, 2 p.m. School Board Workshop. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, so now we will move on to roll call.
Lauren Ramirez, present.
Janie, Ruddy, present.
Oh, I'm sorry, Christy, Chong.
Will Furry present, and Superintendent Moore is en route from another event. She'll be joining us here in just a few minutes, so we can update the record of her attendance when she arrives. Okay, so today's agenda, you'll see there's a lot of things on here that just outline our reorganization meeting that we're going to be doing later this month. So we will fill those duties at that time. So, bless you. So we're going to move on here to adoption of the agenda, and have not heard word of any requested changes, so I'd like a motion to move forward with. Yes.
There's one change, I apologize for it. There's an item on your docket, 11.03, staff membership presentation. It does not require your vote. We presented that last week to you, and we submitted it to the state, so it is not going to be on there. We can remove that.
Okay, so we will remove 11.03. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Mr. Reeves. Okay, so I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Move approval.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Chong,
Second.
second by Ms. Ramirez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we will move forward with today's agenda as modified. So that brings us.
Mr. Chair,
1.05.
there are no newly elected board members?
Well,
So this is just a template agenda for this time of year, is that?
well, yeah, this is a template for our meeting, because this is what our agenda is going to look like at our business meeting later this month. So that's what that is for.
Yeah, I had that same question. I reached out earlier, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, although they're not newly elected, because we still have a vacant seat, potentially that could be a swearing in if somebody was appointed to that seat. We'll see how that, but that's just this is a template that we use and modify it accordingly. But thanks for the question. Okay, and then that takes us to public comment. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
We don't have anyone signed up for public comment.
Okay, so we will close public comment, and we will move on to the financial consent. Do we have our finance team?
Good afternoon, Chairman Furry,
Welcome.
board members, and Superintendent Moore when she arrives. Ms. Bush and I are here to answer any questions you have on finance consent items.
Okay, so we'll start with 9.01, request approval for Imagine Charter School financials.
Last time you said that they were getting used to some new software. Anything standing out to you related to their ability to provide those reports and accuracy as they transition to that new software?
The last meeting you mentioned formatting of commas or decimals and bolds, right?
Oh, yeah, there was something like
Yeah.
that.
So those were shared, but I can tell you that I cannot tell them how to format their statements. I can share what was shared, which I did, so it's up to them to,
Okay.
I mean, these statements go before their board too.
As long as the overall numbers are correct, just sometimes like if you put 0.3%, is that really supposed to be 30% or, right?
I understand.
So that's just the only thing.
Sure.
That.
All right, any questions or comments on Imagine Charter financials? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to 9.02, board approval for purchase orders over 10,000. Okay. So if there are not any questions, we will move on. 9.03, request board approval for vendor payments.
I just had a question with the Parent Square and then the Imagine Learning for those, not Imagine School, but Imagine Learning, if it was just, oh geez, where's my-
I'll have Ryan come up for Parent Square first.
Okay.
First.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Leasing.
For the renewals, similar to the, another question I asked, is it multi-year or annual for the Parent Square?
Parent Square is an annual.
Annual
contract.
renewal, okay. And then Imagine Learning for those, is that similar? Is it-
That was,
It's page 3,
Let me pull it up real quick.
multi-year or annual payment.
What's the PO number?
I just have on my notes, page 3.
What's the PO number?
52.
I can,
179.
it's, but it's 35,437, if that helps.
that is annual renewal software. Imagine Learning is a instructional software
Yeah.
that is used, I believe it's just in our secondary schools, middle and high.
Okay, so both annual, thank you.
I had 2 questions. FPL and Flagler Palm Coast Water Utilities projected pretty substantial increases. And I was wondering what your analysis was of that impact on our budget. What do we typically provide as a year-over-year increase in our assumptions?
That information comes from Plant Services, because we normally have that information in advance sometimes. Mr. Bush, do you want to come up and talk to this question?
Good afternoon.
Mr. Bush.
So as far as the FPL, I'd have to look at my spreadsheet, but I know that they told us that we were going to have, I want to say it was a projected an 18% increase. Of course, it doesn't get voted until the end of the year, but that was their projection. So obviously, we forecast that to where if it does go, that we have that covered.
So our projections that had been provided previously had already absorbed that? number?
Yes, on the hike and the increase, as long as the usage and all of that obviously stays the same. Some of that also for the FPL increases, we're changing that CEP program out, so the ice tanks are not building ice, so we're using more electricity at night for air conditioning and stuff, where we would use the ice tanks in lieu of electricity, so that's why you also see a increase. We had to budget for that for half of the year. We're hoping that that's gonna be, come January, we'll be on the ice tanks making ice, and that will come down, so there was just some increase with that as well.
So the same with the water, I believe there's a 30% with the water for the city?
I don't know exactly what, but there was an increase that we've had to build in for that.
They're coming in incrementally?
The way that it just broke out is for a year for us, because
Okay.
commercial's a little different than
Sure.
residential. We in fact just received a letter a couple weeks ago of, I want to say it was an additional 4%, I think, or 8%, I can't remember, for the water. I'd have to look at that. Increase
I think it was 8.
to the water. It was at 8, okay.
Yeah.
So we try to, when we're given that information, if we have it, we try to reach out to them. They give us the data, and then we put that in the budget. But if they change that, or if it increases after that, then I just have to get with finance and show them the letter and say, here, we had this budgeted, now they're saying there's gonna be an additional increase. And we meet, my team, we meet monthly and look at our energy to see, make sure that it's because of those numbers and it's not usage, and try to do our best on the schools and different, controlling that, if you will.
How far in advance do they typically tell businesses of rate increases? Is it the same timeline as the public?
Around the same time. Again, the FPL, when they told us, the person that we worked with, Tony, he told us that they were putting this up for vote, but the vote wouldn't be till, I believe it's November-ish, and it wouldn't be start till January. But, we still put it in there factoring
Right.
that it would increase, instead of it not being there, then having to say, hey, finance, this is gonna increase, and we didn't have the numbers in there. So I did hear that the 17% that FPL was looking for, that it did not, that they weren't thinking they were gonna get that full amount. They weren't sure, which obviously just benefits us. Hopefully it's not 17%. But again, to your question, that we build that in.
These are pretty substantial. Are you seeing any other budget areas that would need to be cut or balanced in order to provide the
budgets-
electricity and
The
water
budgets
bills?
are pretty slim as they are. We've had to get really, really slim. Like I said, what's in the schools and department budgets, it's 83% personnel.
Right.
So when we anticipate these increases every year. We don't always get it timely, but every time we do the budget, we do increase it. And like we talked about in a previous meeting or previous meetings, we have cut across the board to be able to absorb inflation, to save the general fund, things like that. Some of the stuff is unexpected and it just has to be paid.
Right. The 18% sounds generally okay. You think about your $200 electric bill at the house, but this is a completely different animal. So, 20% for us is going to be very hefty, and I was just wondering if we've already earmarked what we're going to end up having to cut because of that.
It's the same. We have a running list of
Like a priority
ways
list?
Yes.
And you go from
Yes.
the lowest.
And so as we work through, we address it accordingly. So we do have a list of cost savings measures that we take, and some of that will come, especially as we continue to look at enrollment and all of those things, really identify how aggressive do we need to be within these cost saving measures.
And just for clarification, keep in mind that we're not increasing this budget right now. The budget for FP&L for water, that was all done
Yes.
with an imbalanced budget.
Yes.
Right, so what would have to be addressed is if there were more increases later in the
Yes.
year. That's where we would have
Right.
to start looking about, what are we gonna cut to be able to afford this?
Okay. Mr. Bush, why have you, I see again still almost $500,000 for DACG. I'm not clear what the contractor requirements are that are outstanding regarding facilities maintenance and/or construction.
Are you specific to what?
Yep,
Because they're
sure.
working on a couple projects. We have several CMs.
419,000 for, let me grab that check number. Darn it, I moved off the page, so.
You all know what project she's referring to.
Well, I see that one, but it's not the amount.
It's like over 400,000. Let me find it again.
416.
Thank you. Do you see what-
330409.
Thank you, Ms. Chong.
That one's for the chiller plants replacement at FPC.
Okay, so that's for the CEP. That's the project that we've been working on with them for the last year and a half for that CEP upgrade, the chillers. It's a 2-year project, so it's been phased. We had, was it $4 million-ish last year and 2 point something of this year, so it's still that project that we're,
So that's what we're seeing is this is another supplemental payment to that larger project.
that's correct.
So we will owe how much more money? Where are we about? And I apologize, I didn't
No,
ask this earlier.
we're probably, I'm gonna say 70% done with
Okay.
that particular project. But again, that was all part of the budget.
Right.
And the payment obviously coming out of the PO that we would have submitted
Okay, great.
in that process.
My final question with government shutdown, and particular federal funds being affected, I was wondering if there's any impact on, let's say, like food services. They're reliant on some of that federal funding, I believe, or does it flow through the state? I know this isn't your area necessarily specifically, but I was just wondering if that area of expenditure and any others are in jeopardy, or that we need to make do until the issue's resolved.
The only one that is currently impacting general fund is the IDEA grant,
Mm.
and that's because it has not been approved yet, and when they get their roll forward, for whatever reason, they haven't been getting their roll forward until March, towards the end of the fiscal year. So what happens at this point, what has happened is that the general fund will have to charge
Yeah.
some of the salaries, and then when the grant comes through, we get reimbursed from the grant.
So we anticipate that there may be a delay, because we've seen a delay, like last year, we didn't get it. And so we're anticipating that with the shutdown, that may cause a delay. But as of right now, there is not anything that is directly impacting us financially in this moment.
Thanks, that's all I have.
All right. So, thank you, Mr. Bush. We'll move on now to deletion of inventory, 9.04. Any questions here? Just a couple of items. 905, board approval of finance budget amendments. So hearing none, we will move on. 9.06, board approval of district financial statement. Appears to be straightforward there. All right, so are we all done with finance? All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to academic services, and we're going to start with 11.01 memorandum of agreement with Wilson Language Training.
Governor
Mr.
Furry,
Reeves.
board members, Superintendent Moore. Before you is a unique opportunity for us. It's a 2-year commitment to data sharing, the focus on K-5 instruction, particularly ELA. And this will allow us to kind of share information and work collaboratively with this organization who we've partnered with foundations and resources that we use inside of our elementary schools. And so on the backside, we'll also receive about $20,000 worth of resources as an agreement with this. We already have a student data privacy agreement in place. This is our MOU to join that. Any questions?
So essentially, they want the data, the impact data of us using their program for, would this be marketing purposes, improvement purposes? Do we know what they're
Improvement
utilizing this data for?
Improvement purposes, and because they research and work on their product, and then they'll be sharing that information with us about how we can improve our practices.
Okay. And you said that the trade-off is that we'll gain $20,000 worth of product
And
or
it's-
services?
Yes, it's Exhibit B in the document, and we'll also have the benefit of having that collaborative conversation with them with the product that we can then share with our teachers.
Yeah, there is data that we share with them as we are working together. This will give them access to our data, much like we do data sharing with like NEFEC and other Lassinger. They're another group that we do share our data with, so that they'll be able to pull that in and then be able to provide professional learning to us. But of course, they'll be able to use that as well for their practice, but it's really mainly for our practice.
So this is all in alignment with the student privacy
sir.
agreement that we drafted not too long ago? for all-
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
It aligns with policy, and they've already signed their student data privacy agreement, and this is the MOU that goes with it.
Yeah, that would allow for them to have access to our data.
Oftentimes, it's the reverse. The data
Yeah.
privacy agreement is a lagging piece.
Yeah.
We actually had a reverse this time and had that first, so bringing that before you.
And I had a question, so it said that they may publish research reports referencing Flagler, so when or if they do that, or do we have the opportunity to review it, approve it, edit, or just,
Well, we have to
prior to
review
them?
it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
review and approve anything that they may be publishing, just,
We'll have the opportunity to review it and take a look at the information they're using and publishing.
So, just for discussion, I see that they are saying that they will survey teachers, they'll collect this data. Let's say that the data isn't necessarily complimentary, and that data is used for marketing purposes or to compare against maybe another client that was successful. Is there a worry that that would potentially go against our school reputation that we're building and trying to maintain?
Right.
Have we seen how vendors use this data in the past? Do we get first review of the marketing materials they're going to use with our name?
So we shared out, as Ms. Moore shared before, like with universities and colleges, and it's done for research as well. We don't typically have the right of refusal of that. And I would not see it, to your point, if it was not in the best light, they would use that data as part of their marketing or research to kind of.
And we'll be able to influence that in the conversation. This is a longstanding partnership that we've had, and we've utilized the resource. This would allow for them to be able to really highlight the success that we are seeing as a result of some of the resources that they're using. So because this is not a new relationship, we already know what the data looks like at this point.
And I'll just add this other point, Ms. Moore, is we're kind of, Flagler County is their flagship for Florida. And the relationship we have with them, not just the relationship that we have with them, but also the product use and the results. And so we have a very symbiotic relationship in the fact that we share and work together very closely as we're trying to help our students be successful and help our staff learn the processes, right, and how to implement fully with fidelity. So we have a very good relationship with them, and this kind of solidifies that and takes it just to another step to collaborate even more.
And we do have a process in place, because this is for a product that we're utilizing. We did not go just through that that process, it has to come before the board as well. But we do have a process to vet and review anyone who is wanting to use our data on us through research, through a research project, from a doctoral study or whatever it is. We do have a process where we will review it, identify what they're looking to ask or what data they're looking to collect, and make a decision from there if we will or will not participate in that.
But
And so
that's
this was-
separate from this, because here they're telling us they're definitely going to publish this research study. So that's different from marketing material, right? So,
Right.
okay.
It's basically creating a research, there's a research database across the
Yes.
country, right?
Yeah.
Where organizations, doctorals, universities, all collaborate in that space, and it gets shared out in that platform, and it helps define, help instruction moving forward, or whatever the topic is.
Right.
Whether it's science, math,
Is it Eric? Is that what you're talking about?
yes.
Okay. So, but.
I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna be in there necessarily, but it's
Oh,
like,
okay.
share that with, I
But
don't know
we
what they're
also
sharing.
know that there could be, and I'm not, again, this is conjecture, but there could be journalists that want to write and will uncover things of that nature. So I would encourage us in the future to maybe take a light on what our policy might be regarding reviewing that research before we give the final approval to allow our name to be publicized. I believe if we're in an agreement like this, yes, they have to be able to use our data, but whether that name is public, I think based upon what's in the research report, we should have final review and
And we can
approval
go
of
back
it.
and look at that and bring additional information. We'll have our team, we'll have Attorney Smith and Attorney Delaney review it again to make sure that, if there's additional language we need to put in there that would allow for that, we can definitely put it in there as an
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good
option.
point. I mean, we don't want to get involved with something that's going to disparage our credibility or our
Oh,
name, of
100%,
course.
Yeah.
And if I could add, our attorney, Mr. Smith, did review this process
Yes.
with us, and that's how we came to the understanding of this and the student data privacy agreement. So our internal attorney has already put eyes on this.
Oh, yeah, I know these organizations, they have to comply with FERPA, which
Yeah.
goes beyond our local school district, so, but I do see that it's non-identifiable data.
Correct.
Yeah, and again, I think because we've been using this product so long, we already have data that shows what is the results and the results that we're having. And I think it's one of the reasons why they're also identifying us as a organization that they want to partner with, because we already have the data.
Well, I'm
And so we
trying-
know what we are anticipating that to continue. And if that doesn't, our projected response to us continuing to use this resource, if that changes, then we would, back at the research part of, okay, what changed that would cause us not to see the success that we've been having over the last, I would say we've been using it for five years as a district for sure.
For me, predates me.
Yeah.
Right, I guess in this role, I'm trying to employ like flexible thinking in terms of what can go right, what can go wrong.
I
And
agree.
here's something, not just related to student data, but maybe teacher fidelity data, right? There are teachers who are having difficulty implementing foundations to fidelity. And so will they, at that granular scale, identify what % compliance do we have of teachers, and is that different from one school to another? And now this, school A elementary had greater success than school B elementary within this district. So I'm just trying to protect us from that type of data that may also be as a result, unless we are 100% sure that we know that data and we are okay with that being displayed.
And I think, to Superintendent Moore's point, we have a lot of agreements with a lot of organizations that we collaborate with, NEFECT, University of Florida, Lassengers, UNF, and so we always look to safeguard that and our reputation when we're having these conversations. We don't enter them lightly. I mean, it took us 1.5 years to reestablish UNF to make sure everything was in place and correct before we entered that agreement, and so we do take that very seriously.
Yeah, and we will go back into the table and ask these specific questions to make sure that it's going to be beneficial for us as well.
beyond the.
Beyond any of it, yeah.
Those were discussed.
Yeah, we will do that.
And I know we've had great data with this product, so, I mean, I am a fan of this product, so that's nice that they're looking for us. The materials, so there's about 46 teacher or, instructor manuals. Is that enough, do you feel? And if not, will they offer, pricing, better pricing or budgeting?
We negotiate that. That's they're giving us that at no cost. So there's no cost to us for that. And Ms. Frank had been working with Wilson to kind of determine what is the best number of resources that we receive. And that was a little bit of the delay getting it to us because it was more broken out. We felt like this was a stronger use of those dollars to maximize their impact on our organization to support our teachers.
Yeah, and this is something we've been investing in for a number of years, and so some of the resources are already in our possession. But this will allow for us to continue to grow as we use it.
And we got about $2,000 more than we originally had, so.
And Ms. Frank's really great at
Absolutely.
reviewing the data, so I think anyone, like parents that are listening, sitting down with her would be very helpful, so.
Yes.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we can move on then to 11.02.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
it's agreement with the Flagler Auditorium. And we have members of the board here.
Yep.
If you want to come on
You
up.
guys are welcome to come up.
Welcome.
Members of the board and superintendent, I'd like to introduce to you Kathy Wood, she's our treasurer, and Sandy Shepetowski is the president of the Flagler Auditorium Governing Board.
Welcome to you both.
Welcome.
So before the board today is an MOU between Flagler Schools and the Flagler Auditorium Governing Board. And this started about a year and a half ago with Ms. Fulmer and I just kind of doing some research about where we started at, and we discovered we did not have a formal document of the relationship. And so Mr. Smith stepped in and started helping to formalize that relationship between the both organizations, mainly to clarify boundaries. And it's not that neither party wasn't doing their part, they absolutely are. But if there was an outside organization to look in, they could see the distinctions and see the things that are taking place. And because they're a direct service organization, we want to make sure that that's clear for everyone to understand how that works. And I'll let Mr. Smith answer any of that part of that with regard to the direct service organization.
I don't have too much more to add other than the fact of just stressing that everybody was doing, pretty much what the statute requires that you do, and taking the necessary procedural safeguards to ensure that the applicable statutes were being complied with. We just wanted to formalize the document, especially in light of the fact that there was there's a sharing and a tight relationship between this particular DSO and the school board of Flagler County.
And Ms. Furry knows I've been sitting in as a guest on the board for about a year and a half now, and it's a great relationship that we have, that we collaborate together, and I want to thank the treasurer and her support with our attorney to kind of come up with this language to make sure that this was in a good place for everybody. Any questions?
So were these practices already in place and we could just formalize them? Or were there some new additions to this since now we've formalized the MOU?
I would, go ahead.
For the most part, the only new additions are the formalities that come along with already taking part in those procedures.
Okay. So things like errors and omissions and things like that, and those were already in place beforehand. We're just making it clear that that's a requirement.
They were informal, yeah. And then, like for example, to typify what I'm speaking about, the appendix to the MOU that references the conflict of interest form. Already we have no reason at all to think that there were any conflicts of interest, but it's important to address that in case it does happen and statute requires it, that be really clear. And so if there was a third party that ever, like Mr. Reeves explained, if there was ever a third party that was looking in on the history of this, it was really clear that we had followed that statute and there was a strong formal documented history of doing that.
That's great. Now, this just is further strengthening our organization and our policies and procedures, and this just leaves it so there's no misunderstandings, right? We all
Correct.
put it in writing, right? So
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
this is great.
So we're very lucky to have such a wonderful entertainment venue in a relatively small town of Palm Coast. And you guys have such a wonderful list of talent that you bring every year. So we're very appreciative. One question that I had, and I'm not really aware of the machinations of how we work together. You know, this is an auditorium that is on a high school campus, but yet is working as a separate organization. So, for example, is there, when they run events through the auditorium, is there a cost? Is there like a portion of the ticket sales? When you guys work on the calendar of events, you're collaborating, I'm assuming, with the high school in order to ensure all of those? If you could give me just a high-level overview of how that works.
And I can give you more in-depth information on that, but what we have is class activities in the same way. If you look at the facility manual that you use for all of Flagler schools, we have a similar document. And first priority is always Flagler schools' arts education activities. So when we set the calendar, there's a set of priorities that go through. And from year to year, a lot of times those events repeat. So that's why we're pretty full. So it has been set up that way. I could send you that information. I would be happy to give it to you. The Class 1A and Class 2 and how that's put together and how people are charged. The school district is first priority. FPC events get priority over a full school event, but then we usually manage to work that way. The governing board actually does the calendaring of the entire year to make sure that Flagler Schools is priority, and that their events are priority, and that also the way we bring professional entertainment is booked through the board and booked in to be an advantageous relationship for Flagler Schools, and not have people come in and rent the facility and make a lot of money and promoters and things like that. So we have some pretty heavy safeguards within the policy and procedure manual of Flagler Auditorium Governing Board. But we're very excited about getting together and putting this MOU together and putting it together so that we understand our relationship with Flagler Schools more clearly in this document. Thank you, Stan.
But I think just for clarity of the question that you're asking, I think she's asking related to the events that are hosted or that are there through the governing board, what is the fiscal impact of those two Flagler schools? Is there an impact? Is there a cost? Is there is Flagler Schools or Flagler School Board receiving any financial benefits from any of those events that are hosted there on that property?
So I do see in the MOU that the employees are really school board employees, so are we at least coming out as a wash?
Kathy?
I would say that if we buy any capital and it comes out of the budget of the Flagler Auditorium, it gets transferred to the school. The money that comes in, we do scholarships and grants to the teachers. So the goal of the Flagler Auditorium is not to make a lot of money, but to make a lot of money for that intergenerational, so that we can support the arts, and that if we needed some equipment, that we could then pay for that, and it benefits the students that are utilizing.
Right.
those.
Self-sufficiency.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So as far as the employees, they are Flagler Schools employees. Those are employees that we budget to have in there. And we got to think too that we do have classes that are happening there on campus, but they are Flagler Schools employees.
And so are we at a break even with regard to any of that benefit, or no? Because they're saying that
Yeah,
they're self-sufficient, and then anything extra at the end of the year, they have a scholarship type of.
Yes,
of-
so there is no break even with the employees. They're Flagler Schools employees, and they are budgeted within our
Okay.
budget.
I see.
The 501(c) nonprofit, we have a lot more opportunities for state grants. This year, we received $70,000 from the state grant. We would not be able to apply for that through Flagler Schools. So the 501(c), we have a $500,000 building that was brought on, that we worked in partnership with the schools. Every penny we make and all the revenues that we make belong to Flagler Schools. It's just they stay within the Flagler Governing Board to make sure that arts education is at its most excellence.
Mhm. How does that compare to the agreement with the youth orchestra? Is that similar? I know that in the last couple of years, there's been a push for them to be self-sufficient. When we say self-sufficient, is that separate of the employee costs?
So we do cover, we do cover, I can't remember the exact percentage, but it's majority of the.
It's over 70%.
Yes, of the employee costs for that, and then they similarly raise funds to cover any of the additional.
The one difference, though, is that on the youth orchestra arrangement, they are independent contractors, correct?
They're under professional service contracts.
Right.
Through us.
Through us,
But-
though.
But it's not as if they were like a full-time employee.
Correct.
They're
They're
like a
on an annual
1099 type
Yes,
arrangement.
correct. Contracted services.
So when we've, Mr. Reeves, and I believe it was 2 meetings ago where that was discussed, and what is the timeline in which they will be self-sufficient? When we say self-sufficient, is it to pay for their 1099 employees, or are we saying no? So what is the cost that they're trying to cover? Is it the
They're
instruments?
Well, it could be,
Are we
yes.
charging them for the rooms at Indian
We
Trails?
do not charge for rooms, and we charge a nominal rental fee. Remembering that when the youth orchestra was established, it was decided as a nonprofit to help expose to the arts and give students an opportunity to make sure that we represented all of our community in that space. And the board agreed to cover a portion of the cost of those contracts through their other efforts of their concerts, where they raise money from their concerts, and outside fundraising opportunities that helps offset the balance of their contribute. And so 2
So
years
scholarships
ago.
for students to participate.
Correct.
The rental of the instruments and
Instruments.
those things are covered.
I guess I'm a little confused because, so I guess several years ago, they were essentially run through the school, coming out of our funds, and then we're saying, we want you to be able to pay for your own self. If their expense is really, well, a couple of instruments that students might not be able to afford, and they're contractors, what is it that we're asking them to be self-sufficient for? And I guess I'm trying to understand, we have 2 very similar organizations, similar purposes and missions. To that extent, why are we charging the FYSO lease space or rental space to use those rooms, or the?
We're not charging them any funds.
I thought you said we were
No,
charging.
ma'am. No, we're not charging funds.
Okay.
We let them raise money through ticket sales and fundraising to help offset costs, but Patty, to my knowledge, have they ever been?
They have always been self-sufficient in the past, and they continue to be because of those fundraising costs. So this year and last year, the district picked up $78,000, and for 24-25, I believe they had to pay $12,000 out of their internal account to balance the cost that were spent. And for 25-26, it's projected to be about $17,000.
So what is that cost, I guess? Because, and maybe, Mr. Furry, maybe you recall, because I think that was a question you asked, that, like, what were you getting at then?
There wasn't, I don't recall a board direction for the program to break even. It was, we always funded the program through that 75,000. It was a program, but what we did do, it was, this, I could spend an hour on this, but to kind of summarize it, we brought that back, we brought it, for lack of a better term, we brought it in-house under teaching and learning, when it was still a program, but it was it was not well-defined.
It was run by an outside person.
Right, and so that was the big change in that process. And the fundraising side of it, if my memory serves me right, was that they had needed another music teacher or something for the program, and they agreed to fundraise to cover the cost of that. And that's when that fundraising came in. They did through ticket sales and concessions.
To be over the allotted amount that
Right,
you
and
guys
then
would.
I think the
That was
goal.
years ago, though.
Yeah, years ago, and I read, I went back to the original founding documents in board docs, and it was, the intention was that hopefully that they could get grants and things like that. I have not seen any effort beyond the fundraising that they do, but the district historically has been satisfied with that $75,000 that we give to the program. But any needs beyond that, they raise it through those concessions. Now, ideally, we'd like to see them take, fulfill that original mission and cover all the costs, but right now.
And is that the goal for this organization in terms of the employees? Or do we cap them for their payroll expenses similar to how we cap the other organization? What I'm getting at, are we treating them the same?
The FYO is not a separate organization, it's part of our school district.
Right, but it sounds like we have two different policies in which we compensate and/or have an expectation for the long-term financial independence of both organizations. This organization, we're saying, no, this is, these are our employees, the monies and the treasury of these monies are separate and we don't expect anything from it. But with the FYSO, what we're saying is, okay, we're only going to give you $75,000. Those are not our employees. If you need more than that, you have to come get that on your own. And really, the long-term vision is that you find ways, grant monies or otherwise, to make whole that $75,000. So do you see the disparity there?
So,
in my mind, and I don't.
I completely understand what you're saying. First, there are two separate types of organizations, right? The youth orchestra is really like a club or extracurricular activity that we offer, but we open it up to students that are not a part of Flagler schools. The original structure of that was that the board, well, the ultimate goal is for them to raise all of the funds on their own. As far as I have known, and under my leadership, it's never been the board's direction that they were not going to cover the $78,000 to facilitate the program, and it's not been it hasn't been a request to get beyond that amount since we've made sure it is operated through us. So that's one way, it's just because that is the structure of how it's been. And it's the same thing, the individuals that are part of Flagler Schools as our employees, the difference between those two individuals, they're all our employees but they're under a professional services contract, contract for these individuals here. Versus these are our full-time employees that are with us through the auditorium. And so that's kind of some of the differences between it. However, again, to the point of it is my understanding, and it's never been the direction of the board, that it is expected that those employees that are employed by Flagler Schools with the auditorium, that those employees would eventually, the cost, the salaries for those individuals will be shifted. That has never been the direction of the board. And so when this agreement and when we started to get this into writing, we did not make any changes to the structure, as we did not make any changes when we got formalized the youth orchestra. We did not make any changes to that either. So we've kept the structure that was previously in place.
Okay, thank you. That's much clearer. I appreciate that. And so the FYSO is not 503.
They are not.
503. Okay, gotcha.
They're with us, yeah.
Yes.
And again, this MOU, we intend to bring it forward to you as is, as a board. But if there are things that you have questions about, you want changed, or any of those things, like now is the time for you guys to say that to us. If not, we will continue to review it and bring it forward. We've said this multiple times. It is our desire to get as many things as possible written and formalized and that we can refer back to. And this is one that we know years and years and years and years ago it may have existed, but we don't have it at this moment.
Sure.
The auditorium was established on a bond issue in
Yes.
1988. They
Yes.
needed money to fund the auditorium in said classrooms. There was no chorus room, no
Right.
band
That's
room,
true. Yeah.
all of that facility. And so in 1991, they thought ahead, well, if we're going to have to share this with the community, that's what they put on the ballot.
Right.
They put together a governing board that would operate separately so that it would be its oversight for the community to use it.
Right.
And that is how it was intended.
Yeah.
So
we're
that's where we have to
very
continue to
lucky.
work through. to make
Yeah.
sure
Very
And-
lucky, it's a gem, and it also serves as like career technical type of support. We have a lot of students who are part of your performances. They work the background, the back of the stage, all of that. So it's a really rich partnership.
And the
Appreciate it.
capital improvements that you make become the property of the school. So we ultimately benefit in the end through those efforts, whether it be through grants or raising money through ticket sales and fundraising.
And we together, as a partnership, have invested a lot into that facility so that it can be state of the art for our community and for our students. And so it is a partnership. You know, we think about the sound just was done. Was that last year? That was earlier this year. That so it is definitely a partnership of us coming together with resources to say, okay, this is what it will cost. This is what we would invest in it. If it were just for our students, here is what we need the investment to look like for it to be our community. And so together we are able to ensure that our community and our students have a great facility to work in and learn in and all over the places. Yes.
And
our
one
case
thing, the shows that you have, like the dog shows, and it's cute, it's adorable. I would love to see, and I don't know if in your board, someone to market it a little bit more, like, to the elementary schools. I mean, I know those would be sold out, whether it's, the discounted prices, but, those are great. I mean, for the community and the schools.
Coming up in March, we have along with the home show, we're doing something to help with our kindergarten readiness and an opportunity for families to go in to see a performance of
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book, and no cost.
Oh, yeah, I saw the flyer.
So
It'll
there's,
be during the home show. There'll be no cost to the parents of younger children, and we're going to try to get with the Early Learning Coalition and work very hard at using that show as a way to advertise more about kindergarten readiness.
and PPK.
That's wonderful.
And I saw the ads, you guys are promoting the Taylor Swift
Yes, we
tribute
are
coming up.
promoting it. We're trying to get those people.
Yeah, I saw it said, "Dads, connect with your daughters." I mean, you guys are really painting the picture.
I have some creative marketing people.
Part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I think just to the point of the marketing, you guys do a really good job pushing it out. It's difficult because, there are things that we can definitely do better of showcasing and sharing out as well, having that balance between, what that looks like and how we support and getting the news out about shows and stuff. And so,
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to get it out there. It's great stuff.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so that moves us on to Human Resources, 13.01. Superintendent Evaluation. And we have Mr. Olet joining us.
Mr. Furry, Superintendent, Board, I was asked to compile as a summary document your individual evaluations. I compiled strictly as a summary and only made edits when instructed to do so. So what you have before you is your work.
Yeah. So you compiled it nicely together. Very easy to read.
And per my contract, that my evaluation, if it is my recommendation that we continue with what is currently there, as well as the performance piece of it is directly connected to our strategic plan. But if you would like to see anything additional or differently done with the evaluation according to my contract, we would have to work together to come together with something that is agreeable between the two. My recommendation is that we continue with this current structure, and but if you have some recommendations of things that you want changed, that we would have to work together for that to come to an agreement.
Have you seen different structures at different districts that you worked at?
Every district has their own unique layout. I mean, I'd be glad to send some samples your way.
I'm just curious. It's this is all I know. So
Right. It's served us well for the most part. I suppose the format is one thing, but I guess it's the areas of evaluation that would differ, and they're tied to the strategic plan right now. So if we modify that, it might also modify that as well, so it goes hand in hand for accountability ultimately.
that's a good, I guess, thing to think about. And are there some maybe hard-coded data-centric items we would also want to put in there? For example, ability to recruit talent or something, let's just say. I know that's not necessarily just her role, that's Mr. Ouellette's role, but, all of that plays into it. Or, hey, student growth, or student retention in terms of maintaining our populations. I don't know if you wanted to entertain something of that nature, as opposed to, because a lot of this was very subjective, and I know myself, at that time, it was only a couple months, right? It's difficult to have a larger perspective.
And we will make sure, and I do apologize, we will make sure we add the second part of this that is directly connected to the strategic plan and all of those different areas that you listed, because those are measurable pieces that I am evaluated on as well, and it's a part of this. This piece here is very subjective, but there is a second piece of it that is directly to the strategic plan. And so when we look at that piece of it, as we look at the new strategic plan going forward, that's going to be our time to make those different adjustments. You do have some areas where there's more of like that 360 review, where you have different maybe community members putting input, lots of different people providing input into the superintendent's evaluation. But there is a piece of it, as I look at this right now, there is just one piece of it that we need to add to this, because there is that part.
And I think what would be helpful is if the data relative to the strategic plan is made available concurrently at the time we're asked to develop the evaluation, unless it was, but this was several months ago, I don't recall that. I've been wrong more than once.
It definitely is available. There was a delay with this. The language in the contract needs to kind of adjust, because when all of the data is available is a little bit later versus what it says in my contract as to when we should be doing this. And so
that's what I'm wondering, should we consider a timing change so that the data can be concurrent at the time of the evaluation?
And align it with what is anticipated with or expected for our educators, right? And so for all of them, we wrap it up in October because all of the state data is there. We've done, the student performance side of it, and we've done the professional practice part of it, and it's all available at that time. I'm definitely open to that.
There's no state requirement indicating the time we're supposed to develop this, right? This is completely on us.
This is all contractual,
Yeah.
based on the superintendent's contract.
So it has
And
to do with their start date?
Right, and
is that what
it was, this was set up before, this was actually in place before I was elected, but it was meant to keep the review, tied to the superintendent's contract. So
I
her
see.
performance was gonna be evaluated, so it could be checked. The expectations are laid out in the contract, and this is a way to evaluate those benchmarks in there. So the one thing we do have is, this is the annual review, so we have time to revisit this as a board if we're gonna make changes to it for the go forward, in alignment with the strategic plan. And this also would be, ideally, if we have a full board, to have, everybody's input in there on something like this here. But this sufficed for this time, so, we've all completed it here. But I'm not opposed to revisiting it and adding, but we just have to look at her contract and, oh, Mr. Delaney, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
thank you.
I didn't hear you chiming in.
Sorry, I was waiting for a good time to do that. Just in response to Ms. Bray's question, there's not a state mandate for this, but the board has adopted policy 1040 that provides some guidance regarding the format of the superintendent's evaluation. The only timing requirement in that is that it be done annually. My recommendation would be that the board, as part of its strategic planning process, develop the goals laid out for the superintendent in the upcoming year, and then immediately have those goals transfer into the evaluation instrument itself. The evaluation should flow from the goals of the district, and then the superintendent's contract would drive the particular timing of when the evaluation is completed, as long as it's done annually.
Yeah, I'm not having an issue with the goals being representative of our strategic mission. I think obviously that needs to happen. It's more of the timing of the data available to perform the evaluation. I would like to have those two be concurrent so that, we can pull directly from numbers that are indicating how well we're hitting those strategic goals. And maybe when a new superintendent, down the line in our policies, if we have to adjust it, let's say somebody is hired maybe in interim fashion. There could be, let's say, pretend a 6-month evaluation that's not really data-based because they didn't really own that mission, right? And then the data kick in for the year after, something of that nature. Maybe we need to revisit that policy. It would be my preference that it align.
Okay. Well, we definitely, keep that as a board member request for the future, and
Thank you.
And we'll, it's a worthy conversation, I'm sure, so. All right, so if there aren't any questions with the review itself, I mean, we all know what's on there, we wrote it. But, okay, thank you, Mr. Olet. And then we have one more item with you, I'm sorry.
Yep, just personnel items.
Yeah, personnel item 13.02.
This is the start of the new list as we head towards the next board meeting.
All right, so it looks like we're good with that. Thank you, Mr. Olet.
Thank you.
Okay, so that moves us down here. There's just one other item that's mentioned on here for our organizational meeting. Just a reminder, we'll have to select a value adjustment board member. I think Ms. Ruddy is currently on that. That will be part of our liaison assignments. So that leads us to public comment. Do we have anybody for public comment?
We don't have any public.
Okay, so we'll close that. Move on to board member requests. Any additional requests from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to closing comments. Ms. Ramirez?
Well, Ms. Moore, you did great today at the chamber event with your 10-minute to squeeze everything in. I can't believe you did it. So great work. And yeah, just enjoy the week and stay healthy, everyone.
Quarter one is closed. A lot of students maybe are celebrating the fact and enjoying their accomplishments of their grades. I just encourage parents and students, quarter one is early. If you're not happy with the grades that you've seen, remember it's all about work and effort, and it's a worthy effort. So I can just encourage you to implement changes that would support the goals that you want to achieve. I'm also seeing a lot of great things among faculty members as we're in full swing. Holidays are coming up, and we have a lot of wonderful events within the schools. The high schools had their themes each day last week for students dressing up in Ribbon Week, and that was lovely to see. And just encouraged to see some of the holiday activities coming up. Josh Cruz Gala is coming up. That is, the 16th of November?
That is
15th.
15th?
15th.
Okay. As well as, obviously, some of the Ed Foundation holiday support, like Shop with the Sheriff? Is that what they call it? No, that's a separate one through the Sheriff's Office. Then ours is...
It's similar to...
Gosh, I'll remember it as soon as I walk out the door. But I'm really excited, as well as the holiday performances that many of our students are going to be putting on. Very excited to see that. And it's really what makes, school memorable and fun. Thank you.
Everybody have a great week.
Yes, everybody have a great week. And just in light of the review, I just wanted to congratulate Superintendent Moore on getting some very high marks from the board. Some great comments here as well. I encourage the public, if they want to review this, you can go to our board docs from our Flagler School's website and review it for yourself. But I really appreciate the board gave a lot of good insight, a lot of good recommendations for advancing the school. So I think that this will be a great tool for Superintendent Moore as well. So thank you. And do you have any closing comments?
I do. It's the 60th day of school, and some of our schools are participating by dressing up. Cannot wait until the 70th day of school, so dust off your 70s attire because it's going to be epic. It's going to be a great day, and I just like to always share is that when we count the days, we're not counting up or counting to the end of anything, but really taking a moment to individualize each day and make it special for its own right. And so this is a special day because we're not going to get another 60th day of school again this 25-26 school year. We were honored to participate today in the event that the Chamber hosted, and it is hard to compress a message into those 10 minutes, but we did it. We didn't want to be, we wanted to be respectful of everyone's time and just share some great things about Flagler Schools, answer some questions that they had. And I will tell you, it's like the question and answer session was all about Flagler Schools, which is always great. And so I love opportunities to get out into the community and share the great things that we're doing and that's happening in Flagler Schools. I'll say to my evaluation, it's there. I think that you guys know as a board that for me, I'm really rooted in the mission and vision and the guiding principles of this organization. And having been in this organization for a number of years, myself and our team, we are really committed to making it better than where it was when we founded, and we do believe that we're doing just that. We're really focusing on getting things just written down and formalized. But to you as a board, if there's something, before we get to annual reviews and all of those things, I'm here, I'm available for you guys to share concerns that you have, ideas that you have, and all of those things. And you do that, and I just welcome and ask that you continue to. We have an amazing career fair that's coming up on the 14th, which is next Friday. And so it is for our high school students, and then in the afternoon, we're gonna open it up to the community. And so if you're in private, if you are homeschool, or if you're just a member of the community and you're seeking out information, please come and be a part of that college and career fair. It's going to be really good. It was great last year, and we're just going to make it better each and every year. And I just want to just highlight our team. Over the last 3 weeks, we've been hosting several different districts that have come, and they're coming to learn about the great things that we're doing. For some of them, it's been a bit based on operational things. So we've had, tell me what county that was with you, technology. Okaloosa. I was going to say it was Walton, but it was Okaloosa. We've had Okaloosa here. We've had St. John's here. We've had Gilchrist. We've had Brevard. We have Levy coming again this week. I heard that Alachua is coming this week, but they're hearing about the great things that we're doing, and they're coming over to partner and to learn alongside us. And so kudos to our team for being willing to share what we're doing here in Flagler Schools, but also being willing to partner with other great public education models within the state. So lots of great things happening in Flagler County, Flagler Schools, and happy 60th day of school. I can't wait for the 61st day of school. And so great things will continue to happen here in Flagler Schools. Thank you.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.